Hi there, my name is Andrea, and this is High Literature, a program where I introduce books and stories and art and comics and all that good stuff to you, the viewer. I have been revisiting these guys here, um, the Space Odyssey series by Arthur C. Clarke, and they are just so wonderful. Um, I just love these books so much. There are four books in the actual series, and then there's this other guy here that talks about the making of the first book because, as you all know, there's the Arthur C. Clarke book, but then there's also the Stanley Kubrick movie. And the fun thing about this book and movie is one didn't come before the other. They were actually made simultaneously. And that's what this book talks about. So let's see, it says here the ultimate trip started with a story called The Sentinel by Arthur C. Clarke. It took flight when Stanley Kubrick asked Clarke to write a novel of space exploration. The result was one of the most extraordinary films of all time. Now, for the first time, the reader is taken on every stage of this great adventure. Here is the original story and the interplay between two brilliantly charged imaginations. This is Arthur C. Clarke's own intimate account of the unique chemistry between author and director, which created 2001: A Space Odyssey. How cool is that? And let's see here. It first came out in 1972. And then this particular edition here is a 1978 reissue. And to be quite honest, I actually have not read this book yet. It's so funny. Every time I start, I just get so excited about the whole series that I decide to start the whole series over before I start this book. And as such, I don't ever get to this because there are, as I was saying before, four books in this series, and it's been a while actually since I've read all four. I've read the first one quite a few times, and I've read the last one a few times, but the two in the middle, yeah, it's been a long time since I've read these guys. But I will say that all four are magnificent, and I highly recommend checking them out. I love the foreword that Clarke writes for the first book, 2001: Space Odyssey. Behind every man now alive stand 30 ghosts, for that is the ratio by which the dead outnumber the living. Since the dawn of time, roughly 100 billion human beings have walked the planet Earth. Now, this is an interesting number, for by a curious coincidence, there are approximately 100 billion stars in our local universe, the Milky Way. So for every man who has ever lived in this universe, there shines a star. But every one of those stars is a sun, often far more brilliant and glorious than the small nearby star we call the sun. And many, perhaps most, of those alien suns have planets circling them. So almost certainly there is enough land in the sky to give every member of the human species back to the first ape man his own private world-sized heaven, or hell. How many of those potential heavens and hells are now inhabited, and by what manner of creatures? We have no way of guessing. The very nearest is 1,000,000 times further away than Mars or Venus, those still remote goals of the next generation. But the barriers of distance are crumbling. One day we shall meet our equals or our masters among the stars. Men have been slow to face this prospect. Some still hope that it may never become reality. Increasing numbers, however, are asking, why have such meetings not occurred already, since we ourselves are about to venture into space? Why not indeed? Here is one possible answer to that very reasonable question. But please remember, this is only a work of fiction. The truth, as always, will be far stranger. That is just so neat. Because remember, this was written, this came out, both the book and the movie, before we went to space. Like, when you consider, like, when you watch the movie, oh my god, it's so beautiful. The special effects, they're so real looking. I mean, it looks like, I mean, they may as well, they're in space. I don't care. They're in space. I know it's a movie, but I mean, it may as well be real. It's so real looking. And yeah, we hadn't gone to space yet. All of this was created before that happened. And I just think that is just amazing. Oh my god. So yeah, this book came out in 1968. That's when it first came out. And then the second book, let's see, 2010, Odyssey 2. Let's see here. When 2001, A Space Odyssey first shocked, amazed, and delighted millions in the late 1960s, the novel was quickly recognized as a classic. Since then, its fame has grown steadily among the multitudes who have read the novel or seen the film based on it. The film is not based on the book, as we just talked about. But anyway, yeah, along with almost universal acclaim, a host of questions has grown more insistent through the years. Who or what transformed Dave Bowman into the Star Child? What purpose lay behind the transformation? What would become of the Star Child? What alien purpose lay behind the monoliths on the moon and out in space? What could drive Hal, a stable, intelligent computer, to kill the crew? Was Hal really insane? What happened to Hal and the spaceship Discovery after Dave Bowman disappeared? Now all those questions and many more have been answered. In the stunning sequel to his international bestseller, Clarke has written what will truly be one of the great books of the 80s. Cosmic and sweet, eloquent in its depiction of man's place in the universe, and filled with the romance of space, this novel is a monumental achievement. It's so good. I mean, like I said, it's been a while since I've read it, and I don't really remember much of it, but I do remember when I read it, I was just dazzled by it. There's this little excerpt here where they find the ship and they board it, and they turn Hal on and start asking Hal questions. It's so good. And then, let's see here, the third book, Odyssey 3, is 2061. Let's see here. Oh my god, this is so crazy. So 50 years after meeting the spirit of Dave Bowman aboard the abandoned Discovery and witnessing the fiery transformation of Jupiter into Earth's second sun, 103-year-old Dr. Haywood Floyd boards the luxury spaceship Universe for the historic first landing on the surface of Halley's Comet. At the same time, the Galaxy expedition sets out to probe the evolutionary upheaval on Jupiter's former moon, Europa, haunted by the fate of a doomed Chinese mission and by the ominous message from space. All these worlds are yours, except Europa. Attempt no landings there. As the stranded galaxy awaits rescue on the dangerous and forbidden surface of Europa, and universe races to her aid, the omniscient force that is Dave Bowman watches and waits to reveal the extraordinary secrets of the monoliths, of the masters he now serves, and of mankind's ultimate role in the course of cosmic history. Oh, it's so good. And then the final Odyssey, 3001. Oh my God. I love the first book. I mean, all four of them are great. But I don't know. I kind of think that the final Odyssey, 3001, this might be my favorite out of the four. It's just, he is the prophet of the space age, the times. I love this book so much. So it's 1,000 years from the first one, right? Okay, the body of Frank Poole, who was the other astronaut with Dave Bowman in the first book. The body of Frank Poole, lost for 1,000 years since the computer HAL caused his death en route to Jupiter, is retrieved, revived, and enhanced in the most eagerly awaited sequel of all time. Sure, why not? The terrifying truth of the monolith's mission is a mystery only Poole can resolve. And then there's all these little quotes, but my favorite one is, "From the moment I picked it up, I couldn't put it down. 3001, the final Odyssey, is a tour de force that finally answers the questions that sparked the imaginations of an entire generation." Buzz Aldrin. It's just so, these books are just, they're so fun. They're so well written too. You don't have to be an astronomy whiz or a science whiz or even remotely interested in those subjects to have an appreciation, to find these stories interesting. None of those subjects were subjects I had interest in or was good at. Those weren't my subjects. But these books, they're so captivating, and the way he writes, they're really accessible, and I really appreciate that. I love when somebody can explain something that feels intimidating and like you have a curiosity about it, but you're so scared of feeling stupid about it that you just don't mess with it. And then somebody comes along and they just explain it. You know, they have such a passion for it that they can just convey what's going on to you in a way that you can understand. And that's how he writes. And they're just wonderful. I don't know. I say that this one's, the final one's my favorite, but man, this first one's really, I don't know. They're all really good. They're really good. I say all of them. I haven't read this one yet, but I will. I'm really curious because I find the story fascinating as far, how both the movie and the book were created at the same time. I mean, I can't think of another example where that happened, and I just think that's really neat. I'm tired. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie. What are you doing? Oh. I started reading a fourth one. I can't help it. But yeah. Anyway. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. All right. Well, I thought this was going to be a little longer, but I guess considering that there are two books that I can't really talk about, and it feels kind of silly to talk about the other two without being able to talk about the middle. But anyway, I am going to revisit all of these. Obviously not in order since I'm already starting with the last one, but it's funny. I mean, they definitely, there's a chronology to the story, but I don't know. They're all so good on their own. I really feel like you could read them independently of each other. I mean, yeah. When you consider, like when I think back on how I've absolutely read series, like book series out of sequence simply because of like availability or lack of availability. And then, you know, I'd go back and like reread and like in order, and it just wouldn't ultimately end up mattering because each book was so good on its own. And that's how these are. And so, yeah. There will be another video diving a little deeper into these. Hello. Hi. Hi, Cleo. Hi. But in the meantime, I definitely recommend you check them out on your own. And I feel like it helps make the movie make more sense when you read the book. It's way more informative. You know, the movie's pretty wild. And the book, it gives way more information. So that's also an interesting aspect of it. As far as reading the books are concerned, it kind of sheds a brighter light. Hello, hi, on what's going on in the movie. Hello. Hi. You're such a sweetie. Okay, I'm going to go to bed.